Hi guys, welcome to Craft with Jared. I'm Jared and today I'm going to show you how to create a single moss stitch. This is how the pattern looks. So it's almost like little bubbles and crosses. It's one of my favorite stitches to do and it's quick and easy and it's made up of garter stitches and stocking stitches. So if you don't know how to do the garter and stocking stitch, please I recommend that you watch my two previous videos of the garter stitch and stocking stitch because it will really help you. It's the two basic stitches you learn while doing knitting, and all of the patterns from today onwards are going to be using those two stitches. So if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you know anybody who would like to learn how to knit or crochet or any types of crafting projects that's going to be on this channel, please share this video with them. If you have any questions, please comment. Any improvements I must make, please comment, and follow me on Instagram at craftwithjared. So let's start. I'm going to show you the equipment that we are going to need. So the first thing we're going to need is our darning needle. This is going to be used to sew in the ends at the end.
I think your eyes went. Can you make your eyes squint? I think your eyes went squint when you did the dot.
The second thing we're going to need is going to be our scissors. This is used to cut off the ends. Then we're going to need our measuring tape because our square is going to be 5 inches or 13.5 centimeters. Then we're going to need our knitting needles. I'm using a 5mm knitting needle. Then I think from now, always have a stitch marker ready. So you can either use an actual stitch marker like this, or you can use one of those safety pins as well, or anything where you can mark your stitches, because we are going to be alternating between stitches. So if you stop your work halfway, you want to put a marker there so you know where to continue. Otherwise, if you mess up the pattern, it's going to show throughout your square. And then lastly, we're going to need our wool. I've chosen this double knit 100% acrylic baby blue wool. It's very soft and light, and the brand is Charity. And remember to get the size needle you need. Just look at the back and it will show the US, UK and millimeter size. So you're going to hold your finger like this, wrap the wool around, put your thumb in, turn and grab your working yarn. And there's your slip knot, and you're going to put that onto your working needle. And then the second thing is we're going to cast on 21 stitches. So I'm not going to show how you cast on here because I've done it in my other knitting and crocheting videos. So please, if you don't know how to cast on, please look at my easy garter stitch and stocking stitch and refer to the beginning of that video. It shows how we cast on and the method we use to cast on. So we're going to cast on 21 stitches. I'll meet you back once we've cast on 21 stitches. So once we've cast on our 21 stitches, I've already done some of the squares so we can see the pattern, but all the rows are the same. So we have our 21 stitches, and remember, if you don't know how to cast on, go back to my previous videos. I'll leave a link in the description. And when I say knit, I refer to the garter stitch. So if I say one knit, I mean do one garter stitch or knit stitch. So we're going to do one garter stitch, one knit stitch. So what you want to do is you want to do one knit, and when I say knit, it's either a knit or a garter stitch. So we're going to do one garter / knit stitch. So you're going to insert your hook in from the bottom. So now we have our working needle and our rest needle. Then we're going to take our working yarn, go around, push down and pull up. So we have one knit. Then we're going to do one purl or stocking. So one purl, one knit, one purl, one knit. Remember, when you do your knits and your purls, you're changing the direction of your yarn. So knit, the yarn is at the back, so you can see the yarn is at the back of this needle, and then purl, you bring it to the front of the needle. And that's also how you can see what stitch you're on, because I've just done a knit stitch, so we can see naturally the yarn goes to the back of my work. So we're going to do, now I've just done a knit, we're going to do a purl, So we're going to bring the yarn in front, push down, and there's our purl. Then we're going to do a knit, and then a purl, knit, and purl. So remember, if you don't know how to do the knit and the purl stitch, please watch my previous videos, because the series from now, I'm going to just explain what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show less of how to do the knit and the purl stitches and just show you how to do the pattern. So we're going to just continue this row, one knit, one purl until we get to the end, and your last stitch should be a knit stitch. If it isn't a knit stitch, then it means that you have messed up somewhere, or you've doubled up on a purl or doubled up on a knit. So the first and last row, the first and last stitch is always a knit stitch, and then you have your knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and then, so if you see, we're getting to the last one and it's a knit stitch. So your last and first always needs to be a knit stitch. So there's our first row. Then our second row, we turn our work around and we do the same pattern. One knit, so with the knit I go in from the back, go around, push down and pull up, then one purl. So I'm going to bring my work in front, go in from the top, go around and pull up, then knit, go to the back, insert from the bottom, around and pull up. Then I'm going to go from the front, insert from the top, around, pull up. So we're going to do another knit and purl. And don't worry, I will leave this pattern in the description with the written pattern of knit, purl, knit, purl. And we're going to continue this pattern until our square is the same height as the width, so 5 inches or 13.5 centimeters. And remember, if you don't have a measuring tape, how you can determine if your square is right, you match up the corners. So we can see I've still got a few rows to go, and then you're going to do it until the corner matches up perfectly without stretching it. So we're going to just continue doing the knit and purl, and now how we would use our stitch marker, say I would want to go up and make some tea. So I've just done a purl stitch. So we can see it's a purl stitch because the wool is naturally in front of our work. I'll go get my stitch marker, and I would just mark this stitch to say that this is a purl stitch. So I know when I get back, I need to do the knit stitch. The way you can also see is if your work is in front or back. So naturally this goes to the front, so I've just done a purl stitch. If it naturally went to the back, it means I've done a knit stitch. So my next stitch now will be a knit stitch. So what we do, we take our working yarn, we pull it to the back of our work, then we're going from the bottom, around and pull up. Now we do the purl, go to the front, insert it, around, pull up. And we just continue this pattern throughout the whole square. It is a nice, easy, basic square. Remember, please look at my previous videos if you don't know how to do the knit and purl stitch, and if you don't know how to cast on, because from now on our squares are going to be a bit more technical, and I'm going to need more time to show how to do the stitches instead of how to do the garter and the purl. Let's first get our beverage so we can listen and drink. So the reason I'm doing these is not for it to be a career. So it's not so I can have a career in YouTube and be like those YouTube celebrities, because I do have my own professional career. or even though I do think YouTube is professional created because you need a type of personality and you need to be a type of person to be able to make it a success on YouTube. But so my career that I do outside of these videos, because these videos are more of a hobby for me, is I'm actually an associate software developer. So I studied information systems and software development. So like I studied to be an IT analyst and a software developer. So that's what I do. So I help develop financial and insurance software. So the reason I'm busy making this video tutorial is because I feel, firstly, I love knitting and crocheting and sewing, because I will be doing sewing and needlework. I love crafting. I really, really love crafting. And I feel nowadays people don't learn those skills, because back in, I think when my mom was younger and when my gran was younger, you would have a class, what was it called? Home economics or something like that, where they would teach girls how to sew and cook and bake and things like that, where now they don't have those classes in South Africa. So I don't know in other countries if they've got it, but they don't have those classes in South Africa. And normally with knitting and crocheting, it's the older generation, so our grandparents, our grandmoms, who know how to knit and crochet. So I just feel that it's knowledge that people need to know. It's a nice skill to learn because it helps with your motor skills as well, and it's just very relaxing and meditative. So the reason I'm doing this series is because I'd really love to teach people how to knit and crochet, and also show there's not like a female orientated or a girl orientated craft to do. Men can do it as well, boys can do it, women can do it, like anybody can do it. Anybody can do knitting, crocheting. So the reason I'm doing this is so I can show that, like, I'm a boy, I can do knitting, crocheting, I'm not like embarrassed about it, and like I want to share this passion with people, because like I love doing it. And I also love teaching people. I love passing on knowledge, because I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to do as humans, is pass on experiences and knowledge and wisdom to people. So I love training people and showing people what they can do, because I think with a good teacher you can do anything. I don't think when people say like you can't do that because you're not that type of person, I think that's rubbish. I think if you had a good teacher who's patient and calm with you, you can do anything. So that's why I also made this series, was to teach people, because it's one of my passions, is to show people and teach people and pass on knowledge and share knowledge with them. And I'd also like, with knitting and crocheting and sewing, it's such a beautiful artwork, because if you just think like it's just a piece of thread and two sticks you're busy holding in your hand, and you can create the most magnificent things, like socks and beanies and scarves and blankets and like couch covers and chair covers and little placemats and things you put on the toilets, and like you can just make so much nice things, and the patterns, they're so pretty. And you don't see people doing that anymore. You see your grands doing it. And like my generation, so I'm 24, I haven't seen like everybody I've gone to school with, who I studied at varsity with, who I work with. Like I don't know people who's knitting and crocheting. And like I like to see people do that more, because it's such a different way to express your creativity. Like it's not painting and drawing, it's knitting and crocheting. It's a different medium to express art, because you can do art with this. You can crochet and knit different colors in this and make faces. And I just would like to see people do this art form more, because it's such a nice art form. And I don't know, you just hear when old people die, you just think of all that knowledge and wisdom they had that's dying out with them, and people didn't know how to do it, because people don't want to learn how to knit and crochet. There's a handful of people who want to do it compared to the people who don't want to do it. You watch somebody knit and crochet, and you've learned how to do it, and you've actually created something that you can pass on to somebody else. Because from this blanket, from these squares, I can make a blanket that I can gift to somebody. You can brighten somebody's day. You can, from one of these squares, you can make a little rabbit teddy bear that you can give to a child. The best gift you can give to somebody is like time and effort, because they can see the time and effort that you put into making something, even if it's not perfect, but you specifically thought of them and you designed a pattern and you made it specifically for them. That's why I think this art form, and any art form actually, is so beautiful. So that's the reason I'm busy making this tutorial, because I would like people to learn how to do this. Make yourself scarves. You can make yourself some beanies. Instead of buying one from these big giant chain stores, you can make it yourself and have fun, and then you're proud of it. Like, I love wearing my scarves and my beanies and my little slippers that I've knitted. I love gifting it to people and wearing my own stuff, because you know what went in it, and you know you did it, you took the time to do it. So yeah, I just thought it would be nice to explain why I'm doing this video series and why I'm teaching people. Like, teaching is one of my passions. I love passing my knowledge. I love knitting and crocheting, and I just think it's a skill people should learn how to do. They might, like, you don't have to know how to do the ins and outs of it, but just like the basic stitches even. So yeah. Once we've got the length we want, so remember it is 13 centimeters, 13.5 centimeters or 5 inches. Another way you can measure it is if you just you make a little triangle, so you just fold your work over like that. Then what we want to do is cast off, but you want to cast off in the same pattern. So what we do is we're going to knit one. And the reason we want to cast off in the same pattern is because we don't want it to be too tight when we cast off. So we're going to knit one, purl one, and then the normal cast off method where we take the first loop over the loop we've just done. Then we're going to knit one, take the loop over, purl one, take the loop over, knit one, take the loop over, purl one, take the loop over. And we're just going to continue that pattern until we get to the last stitch. So I'll meet you back once we hit the last stitch. So we have 2 more stitches to cast off. So remember the second last one is a purl. Then you bring the loop over the first loop. Work is slipping in my hands. Then you bring the loop over the first loop. Then we change to knit. Then we bring the loop over the first loop. So now we have 1 loop. So what we're going to do here is we're going to snip off the end. Snip off the end. And we're going to just feed it through the loop. So we're going to make that loop bigger. So now you can see there's the loop. I'm going to just pass that end through the loop and just pull, not too tight. And then here's our square. So here we have our single moss stitch square. So then the next step, once we have finished casting off with our square, is we have to weave in the ends. So remember, take your darning needle, you go 3 directions. So in, down, out. So we're going to weave it in this way, down, and then out. Do that with both sides. So here's our square with all the ends weaved in. This is the single moss stitch, and I hope you liked this video. If you did like the video, please leave a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell notification. And if you know anybody who would like to learn how to knit or crochet, please would you share this video. And I want to thank you guys for joining me. Happy knitting. Bye.